Wait, so you're telling me there's an Activision published game that removed a feature that's been part of that series' base experience in the past, and is now selling that feature back to the players at a premium? You don't say. Activision? That's so uncharacteristic. Yes, a stat tracker that keeps note of your deaths and your kills during a match has caused quite a bit of debate among the Call of Duty fanbase. Now, a very bog standard feature of most multiplayer games is the ability to keep track of your kills and your deaths, your kill-death ratio. In previous Call of Duty games, you just press a button during the middle of a match to see that ratio, but you can't do that in Modern Warfare. Now, the game does, by default, keep track of your kills and your deaths, but you can't see those stats during a match. You have to wait until the match is over. Well, if you thought that was a problem, Call of Duty has the answer for a price. Yes, a classic case of creating a problem for players, then selling them the solution, something we here on this channel simply call solution selling, and it takes the form of an in-game watch called the Time to Die watch, which is purchased as part of the Mother Russia bundle, a collection of 10 cosmetic items that costs $20. Now, there's been a lot of debate back and forth in the comment section of anything that talks about this. On the one hand, you've got some fans saying it isn't a big deal, accusing any outlet that talks about this of clickbait because they don't feel it's been emphasized enough that you can check your kill-death ratio after a match. On the other hand, you do have people who see this as solution selling, of carving out pre-existing features in the series to sell them back at a price. Now, a fair few Call of Duty fans are saying that it's good that you can't see your kill-death ratio during a match, and that, consequently, other players can't see it either. Now, they say it cuts down on toxicity, that if other members of your team can't see how good or bad you're doing, they can't have a go at you if they feel you're not doing as good as them if you're not pulling your weight. Now, that's a solid argument in favour of a game not showing publicly your kill-death ratio during a match, but it does kind of miss the point of people's problem with this. The fact that those who do still want to check their kill-death ratio in the middle of a match are expected to buy something that used to be a standard feature. This is a point similarly missed by those who are annoyed at it not being pointed out enough that you can see your kill-death ratio after a match. That doesn't change the fact that something that was part of the base experience has been resold at a price. Even if you think it's not that big a deal because you do see your stats at the end of a match, that it's really not that important and therefore not worth worrying about, I think it's still worth being apprehensive whenever a game sells something that used to just be part of the game. I mean, people say the removal of the KD ratio during a match is good, but the argument that its removal is good is sort of undermined by the fact that Activision will put it back in for a price. And you could say, yeah, but it is different because only you can see your kill-death ratio with this watch. But Activision could have fixed it so that that happens anyway. It's not a binary decision between publicly available in-match kill-death ratio and premium watch. They could have just set it so that the mid-match scoreboard, when you bring it up, shows your KD ratio privately, only you can see that part. But Activision made the conscious decision to sell it, and clearly it's a valuable enough feature that Activision does think it's worth money. So whether you think this is a little thing or not, it is still something that was part of the game, taken out, sold back to people. And I feel that's always deserving of challenge. This is just another example of what keeps happening in video games, stuff that I remember being part of a base experience, taken out, resold. In-game options, things like cheats, the very notion of cosmetics that used to be rewards in-game but more and more have been gated off behind microtransactions. You know, this channel has talked about all of that stuff before, all of the stuff that used to be in video games and aren't anymore unless you pay. Pay more and more over the course of years for less and less content over time. What Modern Warfare has done here may have started as a noble idea. I mean, not just cutting down toxicity, but being more welcoming to casual players overall. I dare say it can be dispiriting, discouraging to bring up an in-game scoreboard and be told that you've died twice as many times as you've scored. But by selling the feature back to people, Activision is trying to have its cake and fuck it too. Bring in casual players while trying to make an extra bit of money off the more dedicated ones. And that smacks a little bit of exploitation. You get these hardcore players who are really invested in your game, your most dedicated good players, and you use that dedication to fleece some extra cash out of them. Now, by all accounts, the monetization in Call of Duty Modern Warfare is way less egregious than it has been in the past. A battle pass system is better than a fucking loot box system, but this should serve as a reminder, even if you don't yet think it's that big of a deal, a reminder that Activision is in charge here and there's very little it won't consider trying to sell to people. As we've demonstrated dozens upon dozens of times on this very channel, when a video game publisher feels it can get away with some bullshit, it will do that bullshit more and more, and it will do it more aggressively, more offensively over time. So yeah, even if you think that this on its own isn't worth getting worked up over, I would still hope that it's not that successful, because I dread to think what Activision's takeaway would be if this is successful. This is still a case of solution selling, this is still content being carved out and resold. And it may be a tiny, even for most people, inconsequential thing, but that's how these AAA publishers operate. Start small, work your way up to larger scale swindles. They are always experimenting, always feeling out the situation, always seeing where the line is so they can walk right up to that line, get a millimeter away from it without crossing it. And sometimes they just say fuck it and cross it anyway, confident they can scale back later and be easily forgiven. So yeah, I do think this is worth cataloguing, worth bearing in mind, worth keeping an eye on, because at the end of the day, it's fucking Activision. There ain't nothing they're doing that isn't in the name of naked profiteering.